everybody. This is the Alex Manassa again for a Thinking Out Loud. Today is October the 22nd, and I'm here to give you some fun, some bad news for some people. I'm at it again, all right? People only respect and only want to join a group that can get things done, okay? This is bad news, and I think for a certain political party, and I don't think they know it yet. I don't think they realize what they're in for right now, because the entire nation right now, all of the youth, everybody, all these problems that we're seeing right now, there is zero solution coming from this party. There's zero solution. And as a matter of fact, it's the party that endorses the very lack of regulation and laissez-faire approach that is making this problem significantly worse. You have an entire generation right now that really, really thinks this is a joke. And I'm talking, of course, about the Libertarian Party yet again. I think it's Austin Peterson. He's been talking about this stuff too a little bit. I want to expand on it. I'm going to take credit and say that I got on this bandwagon a little bit first. I might have been driving this bandwagon, but the Libertarian Party is going to be over. I don't see how they're going to continue getting membership, because they got a big bump from like Ron Paul. They get a big bump from Rand Paul. They got a big bump from the time when I was in high school, around the 2005, 2006, 2007 time period. Big bumps from those. Right now, the biggest problems we have in our country is big tech censorship, which is shifting elections. Okay, there's no doubt about it. The amount of dystopian, Orwellian doublespeak and newspeak that's coming out is insane. Second off, these education systems, right? Private, public, doesn't matter. They are being completely corrupted, and it's not going to be a light hand that solves it, okay? Being laissez-faire about it, like, let's leave it to the locals to take care of it. Not working. Speaking of local solutions not working, you have entire populations of areas of the country who cannot wait until the next election to get their law enforcement in order. Let's say they got duped 4 years ago. Maybe they've been voting these same people in their whole lives. All of a sudden, their life, liberty, and property are being completely disregarded. Their rights as an American are being completely disregarded. Of course, I'm talking about, penultimately, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, all of these regions where rioters and mobs have been going extrajudicially to enact social justice, which of course has nothing to do with social. It is both asocial and ajustice. All right, who's going to protect the rights as listed in the Bill of Rights if your local government isn't going to do it? So saying that local only is the only way to do it, everything should be local. It's not working. It is 100% not working. You can easily violate people's American rights, their human rights, real rights. Okay. Second, so the lack of solution, and in fact the resistance to the people who are making the solution, is destroying them. I think it's destroying their credibility. You see with the cuties thing of like, underage girls doing an artful rendition or whatever. Some people say it's just art. Other people say it's child pornography. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that word on YouTube. Let's see if I get a strike. There is no libertarian solution to that. Now people will say, that's against their rights. Arguably, okay? Because the age and what they're doing and all that other stuff is not technically. You can get a lawyer in there to get you off of any charges there, right? If you believe in full libertarianism, right? I don't understand the pandemic and everything. Everyone's saying that there's a collective, at the beginning of the pandemic, before we realized it was it wasn't that bad. People were seeing that, there's a collective consequence to individual action. Usually, disease outbreaks are the trigger for authoritarian governments, right, and authoritarians, and for good reason. And this is throughout history. This is a human thing. This is not a America thing. This is not a 2020 thing. This is a human thing. When people are getting sick and diseases are spreading, you need an authoritarian who's going to start restricting travel, restricting trade, restricting movement, forcing behaviors, okay? If the pandemic was really so bad that if you didn't wear a mask, you kill people around you, you're depriving them of their life, and they're obviously depriving them of their life and possibly their property, right? So you start having to choose between the three things: life, liberty, property. There's not a good libertarian solution when you have that, because there's no priorities. Finally, the final point I've got is that even libertarians right now are all fighting amongst themselves. Like, ask a libertarian what's the proper libertarian tax policy to take, okay? What is it? Income tax? Are we doing tariffs? Are we doing a progressive tax? Are you doing a flat tax? They're all just going to fight amongst themselves. There's zero unification. Behind Joe Jorgensen, I don't see any unification whatsoever. This has been the year that has destroyed the libertarian philosophy, or destroyed the Libertarian Party, but not the philosophy. Because you do have a party, the Republican Party, which is fighting to end the lockdowns. It's fighting to do this. The thing is, the people who are getting the solutions get the respect. The people who are making the solutions get the respect. The people who are criticizing the people that get the solutions get derision, right? We hold on our shoulders the heroes who are going to save us, not the person that was criticizing them along the way. They lose respect. They are a nobody. They are losing credibility. We don't want them. We want a mixture of authoritarianism that also gives us our liberty. How do you have that? You need to have the enlightened king, the enlightened emperor sort of thing, like the Cincinnatus of Rome. You need a Caesar to fight off Hannibal. You need a Caesar to fight off invaders, whether they be man or disease. Now, the good Caesar will step aside and let the Senate rule again, right? We just have to wait for a good Caesar. Unfortunately, that's just what history does. We have to roll the dice on authoritarianism. It's a quandary that the entire generation is now going to see. The entire nation has been shaped in 2020. Nobody is saying that more freedom is the answer to these problems. I don't think they are. Freedom is what we want to get in the end, but if we're going to keep our freedom in the long term, we need to start pounding in some doors in the short term. I'm talking about antitrust for these big tech companies, because the psyops that they are putting on the American people are going to destroy your liberty. They're going to completely change things. You will be mandated to do and say things. Your government, your laws, your judicial system, all that is going to change, and you're going to lose your liberty that way. So you got to step away from libertarianism to protect liberty, all right? That is the same thing for diseases, because coronavirus is not going to be the last disease that we face, and I think a lot of people know that, okay? And finally, these local governments who are completely letting their citizens down and violating their American rights, that is just the final nail in the coffin. They are not clamoring for more local control and more personal freedom. You need a cop to keep your freedom. That is the thing. You need a person with boots on to keep your freedom. And you want to go fight for yourself? All right. In the Republican version of the world, you've got a cop to do that for you, hopefully. And you get a gun that you can do that with too, right? The other side, which is the Democratic side right now, you get thrown in jail for using your gun. You get thrown in every single person who has used their firearm to protect their life, liberty, and property over this last year has been thrown in jail at great personal injury to their reputation, their life, their property. Their lives are effectively ruined now. People are putting hits on them. Are you going to stand back? Are you going to just say, well, you got to let freedom keep on, trucking? We don't want to become authoritarians. We don't want to use power now, do we? Oh, we don't want to use the power the other side is already using. You need an enlightened emperor. You need an enlightened fighter. You need to fight for it. If you think that the founding fathers were not about to wield power to protect their country, you are insane, okay? I think it's hilarious when libertarians say that taxation is theft. Taxation is theft. Depends on the taxes. If I voted for the tax, and if the plurality voted on the tax according to the rules that we've set up in our legislator, and the tax passes, and the tax, is both commensurate and reasonable with the challenge it's trying to surmount, is that theft or is that just collective responsibility, right? Because a volunteer tax, I don't know I've never heard of that actually working. That sounds like a charity. And if you ever been around, ran a charity like I have, because I've ran a charity, you realize that does not get you good results. All right? If you try and throw and say, let's all have tons of freedom, you turn into a democracy, which is a total democracy, which means mob rule. Okay? You need to have some sort of rules. You need a leader. You need police to protect you. Or else you are up on your own, and then the judicial system will be bought out by somebody. They will put someone in who will then put you in jail for opposing them. You start getting people who are contributing to buy the government and rule you. Okay? Sorry, this is bad news. Sorry, libertarians. People need authoritarianism right now. A little bit more to protect our freedom in the long term. you say, oh, that's a slippery slope. George Washington, as I was alluding to before, led a multi-state army. So a federal army, multiple states were involved. He led it personally to go collect taxes from whiskey makers in Pennsylvania. He went in there with an army and intimidated the ever-loving hell out of all of them to get the money owed as per the tax rules, okay? So if you're going to go on about taxation as theft, you better ask yourself, are you a founding father type of libertarian, or are you an Ayn Rand libertarian? Because those two things are not the same. They are very different. One of those groups of people actually formed and ran a country. The other person wrote some books on philosophy, and extremely poor books, in my opinion. I didn't like Anthem, and good Lord, I'm not reading Atlas Shrugged or The Fountainhead. I'm not reading those books. Those books are not read because they're good books. It's not like, oh man, they're read because people philosophically align to it, or they find it inspiring, right? Okay. I'm going to go with the Founding Fathers on this one. We need to form a coalition that is going to defend our freedom in the long term. We need to fight off pirates. We need a navy. We want to fight off, we want to pay for it. We need taxes. Sorry, guys. That's just the way it is. And I think all of America is on board with that, except for that 2%, which you guys have, who say they're going to vote for George Jorgensen in the polls. But I doubt it. They are going to want a little bit more authority. That's why we have a government. We have a government to protect us from other people. We don't form a government to protect us from government, okay? If you're saying, like, government is the source of all evil, yeah, try not having a government at all. You're going to find out that people are just the source of all evil, and we need checks and balances for people. You need authority to have that. Guys, grow up. Come on. Get it together. It doesn't take an engineer to tell you that you need authority to protect your own freedom. Sorry, life is not, like, super, simple, where you can just say, oh, everything should be more this, more freedom, more freedom, more freedom. Yeah, until I use my freedom to form a war band and you got city-states fighting each other. If you think that, like, some sort of armed rebellion or, like, militia is going to help you, it is not. I guarantee you that international forces and domestic forces will bankroll a horrendous counter militia, and then you will lose everything. A bunch of farmers protecting themselves in this day and age is laughable. It didn't even work in the Wild West. It's not going to work now. Grow up, guys. Seriously. Put your head on straight. Where's your head at? Screw it back on. All right. Sorry. All right. Whoop.